Right, shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
Hey, we out here. I'm with the Akim. All right, we got a GMS Mississippi camp, giving our honor and glory to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bashem Yahushua, Bashur Hakodash. I also want to give double honors to our elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone Ruel, as well as peace and blessings, health and wellness to the house of David the elect. All right, and I'm Zahab, and to my left,
Yashima.
behind me. And today we're going to go into a live stream just quick through the spirit entitled Our Royal Framework, man. Well, you know, what happened when, hey, what was it, I suffer not a woman to teach.
Yeah.
You know, but getting back to the point, you know, we was talking about our royal framework.
Proverbs 13:22.
Yeah, con. You know, and how within our nation, this is why we need the kingdom. All right, the kingdom is not just we flying in some robe with one hand out like Superman, hovering over the planet.
Yeah.
There's going to be a framework, a government, a system implemented in the planet that all nations are going to have to bow to. All right, and they're going to develop their descendants into this framework, man. All right, and that's going to be a result of that military coup. It's going to be spearheaded by Yahweh Shai, pursuant to Revelation, the 19th chapter, the 12th verse, man. It's going to be a military coup because this is a very dissatisfied government within the planet.
Yep.
Like brother was getting to, you were getting to, bro. Westernization destroys frameworks.
Yep.
It destroys governments. He said the nations went, the nations have tasted of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Because you destroyed the household,
Yep.
you destroyed their banking systems, their ecosystems. All right, the earth is mad at you, the nations are mad at you, because they've been seduced by a mindset that gave them pleasure while destroying their culture, destroying their heritage, their livelihoods. All right, because the people make up the systems. A man, when they say this is a man child, that man is going to be a part of a system. He's going to be a plumber within that system, a carpenter, a farmer. He might be a ruler, you know, a prince. All right, he might be in the military. He's functioning within a framework, a system, a government. And that woman is a nurturer. All right, but she might also work that needlework. You know, she might know how. She might deal with those insects, make those garments. And like you said, you know, you take those resources, give it to her. She turns the resource into a product. All right, but we all work together to create a functioning system, all right, within our laws. So the 613 was a royal framework implemented divinely by Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai in the planet Earth to the nation of Israel, all right, to be that example of what's the word, cleanliness, purity, perfection, a reflection of Yahweh Shai on the planet Earth, man. All right, you got it, bro.
This is Proverbs 13:22. A good man leaveth an inheritance to his children's children.
A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. But you know what that royal inheritance was? Our laws. All right.
Deuteronomy 4:6.
Our laws. That's the word inheritance goes back to heir. That we as a people inherit from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We inherited that way before the flood. Their framework, though, there's 613, which is like pillars that make up a house, the house of Israel.
If I can add,
No, you got it, bro.
their way was always with the sons of God.
Yep.
You know, that's why Noah being preserved was so vital, because he preserved the way in the earth. You know, going back to the breath that was given to Adam.
Yep.
Well, through Noah, that way was preserved.
Yep.
You know, so just like the elders getting into, of course, you know, in inheritance you pass down substance, but if you don't pass down the structure to go with that substance, you got chaos.
Right.
You know, because what scripture say, a fool and his money soon part ways.
Shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bro.
Because that's a beautiful thing. I could pass down my son $1 million in liquid assets from this land I own.
Yep.
But if this man doesn't, if he's a degenerate, he's gonna spend all his money on whores. All right, he's a consumer. All right, he doesn't keep the laws. All right, he doesn't, you know, or the woman.
He don't have discipline.
He doesn't have discipline. or like you have a daughter, right? She's supposed to marry this ruler. Your son is basically the ruler over the state. He's going to inherit your estate. But the daughter don't want to get with the arranged program. She want to have her niggas.
Yep.
You know, that's going to destroy the royal. That's going to destroy the substance.
Yep.
You got to have the framework that protects and surrounds the substance.
Yep.
It encapsulates the substance, man. Yep. All right. So that's why the Most High was so big on obedience. I can't give you the nations for your inheritance. I can't give you the heathen for the inheritance if you don't have a system to govern them.
Yep.
If you're not even disciplined enough to keep the system that you're going to force them to keep.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's why it's just another way of saying the laws, man. Yeah. All right.
So Deuteronomy 4:6. Keep therefore and do them.
Start at 5.
Verse 5 says, Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my power commanded me, that you should do so in the land of the ye go to possess it. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and understanding in the sight of all nations.
Because just how you get some land, right? Apply the land, and you want to build a house on it, right? The house starts with the frame, and then you close everything in, put the sheetrock in, and everything like that. Yeah, but basically you get this land and you're gonna erect an establishment. Well, that establishment is the laws, statutes, and commandments. Mm-hmm. And just think of the laws, statutes, and commandments along with the Proverbs, the Wisdom of Solomon, the Book of Sirach, being told all your life by the elders. You know, you got the elders, you got your parents, your fathers, your forefathers, the elders within the village. That's where Gad get that concept from. Yep. The village elders. Yep. That was the first, like, encyclopedia. That was the first history book. Yep. But just imagine you being taught these proverbs, all right, from the time you were a baby. Yep. All right, the laws from the time you were a baby. Because you're going to reproduce what you're surrounded by. Yep. You know?
The laws create an atmosphere.
Yep.
But then it said keep them in the land, showing you that the laws was for sovereignty, man.
Yep.
You know, it was to maintain sovereignty as a nation. Yep. That's why the law was always about expansion and forwarding. You know, it was always about reassuring that there was heirs to pass down wealth to. It was always about weeding out the unproductive to keep the nation strong. You look at the laws. The law was meant to be a well-oiled system for the nation of Israel. You know, and when we fell away from that, we see that we have a shit show. Like we were talking about, we got the data of not keeping the laws. Yep. This is what happens. Like it's like if you put, you know, oil in your gas tank. Now you see what put oil in your gas tank, and now you see the results. Like shit. That's why I can't do that. Yeah. You know.
And it says, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes, and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people.
Keep reading.
For what nation is there so great who have the power so near unto them, as the Lord our power is in all things that we call upon him.
And then you think about it, it's going like the Lord just has a special spirit of influence on Israel, to where Israel can just naturally influence the earth. And Esau uses that in wickedness now. But Jake has a natural aura about them to influence the earth. Yeah. And that's why we was giving them laws, okay, to influence the earth and set a standard of this is conduct in the earth. This is the standard of conduct. This is the standard diet. This is the standard how you do business. This is the standard of what marriage is. Okay? So we was given these things to be that living example, that live example of how to be in the earth. You see? And what happened, we failed. So as we failed, we lost that privilege to rule the earth. So the Lord was like, look, since you so influenced by the heathen, well, I'm gonna put you under their captivity. And that's why this last captivity, you know, this is the Lord punishing us for not being responsible in rulership.
Yeah,
no, that was it on there, bro. I think it was you had made the point about how you know, we had those royal systems, you know, And those systems, all right, what they would do, they would produce, okay, man, make that Lamentation 4:1. They would produce a potent product.
Yeah.
Like going back into, like we always go into it, how was Joseph so easily ready to run a kingdom?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
He was just applying Hebrew ways, okay, to a foreign kingdom, and that's why the shit worked. Pharaoh like, shit, you come by me. Yeah, you get by me. Daniel, he was the hand of the king for 70 years.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like, but this just shows you what the law produces.
Yeah, because if you take an Israelite and Israelite born and raised Jew, so to speak, a Hebrew man, and you plant him in another culture, he's a king.
Yep.
By default, he's a god. Yeah.
Yeah. You got it, bro.
This is Lamentation 4:1. How does the gold become dim? How is the most fine gold changed? The stones of the sanctuary are poured out in the top of every street.
Yep. And that's going into the Israelite man. And it's going to explain in the second verse. Go ahead.
The precious stones of Zion comparable to fine gold.
The precious sons of Zion comparable to fine gold. All right? Shows you the value that the Israelite man held when he was cultivated under a law, when he was cultivated in structure. You see? That's why Israelite men have always been throughout history in these very high positions of power, because what does the law produce? Somebody that's reliable, somebody that's trustworthy. You gotta think, a king can't trust too many people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So why does he have these Hebrew men so close to him? Because the law forces the law, you have to be trustworthy.
Right.
You can't sleep with this man's wife.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You can't steal from this man.
Right.
You see? So going back into it, that was very valuable. Like someone that a king can trust is very valuable. And see, that's what our law produced. The average Israelite man was like this, man. So it said the sons of Zion comparable to precious gold, you know, but now they're poured out at the top of every streets. And what culture do most of the men of Israel live on? The street culture.
Street culture.
The value culture that devalue used to nothing. You know, that's why Jake that live by that culture, okay, they're living on the lowest frequency in the earth. You know? You got it, bro.
How are they esteemed as earthen pictures, the work of the hands of the potter?
Yep, so earthen pictures are earthen used, you know, for a deposit. Okay? Not vessels of honor, because we was created to be vessels of honor. And we have systems in place that maintain, okay, integrity as a nation. It maintain a certain level of quality. Like even if you work at a plant, okay, don't they have what they call quality control?
That's right.
You see?
Right, yeah.
So the law was a form of quality control. That's why when you were, you know, a lazy son, you got rid of that nigga because he poor quality.
And people look at it from a subjective standpoint, and they get emotional. Like stone my son. Burn a homosexual. But then I understand it from an objective standpoint, the grand scheme. You're filtering out cancers. You're filtering out defects that can have a negative ripple effect on your nation. It's a filtering system. The sins committed unto death, those death penalties are filtering systems. And then there's in organizations, there's disciplinary actions, right? Write-ups and stuff, right? 39 lashes. 40 lashes minus one. It's a disciplinary action. You know?
God, bro. Say legend.
Verse 3, it says, even the sea monsters draw out the breast. They give suck to the young ones. The daughters of my people has become cruel like the ostriches in the wilderness.
And you go into the daughters, dealing with the Israelite woman. You know, here it is. You know, I know all brothers in here can contest, man. One thing we remember about our grandmothers is just being extremely nurturing and loving. You know,
that's right.
That was just their aura.
If it's one punchline my grandma had, one catchphrase, you hungry? You know, when I was 8 years old, I stayed with her for the summertime. There was one thing I remember she would say when I was 8. You hungry? You know? And it's like they got an enjoyment of seeing you eat. That's right. You know? So it's like now, as you trickle down the generations, you know, you're getting fussed at for being hungry. That's right.
Like,
That's right. Yeah. Because you being hungry, you got to get her out her phone.
Yeah.
You got to get her mind out that virtual reality she's in.
Yeah.
She has to be inconvenienced to come do her job.
Yeah.
You know?
It's fucked up. But going to the Lord put the women of today on the sea creatures, man. You know, even the octopus or a shark, you know, have a nurturing spirit.
Yeah.
You know, the mothers of the wild even have a nurturing spirit, but the daughters of my people are become cruel, man.
Well, to feed your child formula is really cruel.
Yeah.
To feed a newborn baby formula, that's really cruel.
Yeah.
You know?
To just get pregnant by a random nigga, that's cruel.
That's cruel.
You setting this child up for failure.
Yep. To be on Section, because mindset is I'm gonna get a baby. It don't matter about who. To get this Section 8, you put your child in a very hostile environment, volatile, hostile environment, a warfare.
Yeah.
Because the free shit, the free environments where it's low income, it's warfare.
Yeah.
So just like in amongst the Taliban or in Iran, where you're born into urban warfare.
Yeah.
You're born into it because for the price of free rent or low rent.
Yeah.
You know?
And what don't niggas call they hood Chirac?
Chirac, come on, man.
South Afghanistan.
That's cruel to raise your child in that environment. It's shootouts at the bus stop. It's like you said, Chirac, man. You did that because your enemy gave you free housing to raise them in a warlike environment.
With the chances of creating another serial killer to destroy his own people.
Come on, man. Just like in New Orleans, what was those women doing? Putting their children on life insurance.
Yep.
You know?
Verse 4 says, the tongue of the sucking child cleaving to the roof of his mouth for thirst. The young children ask bread, and no man break it unto them.
Yep. And then you go into truth. You know, the bread, what we know is wisdom. Because of course, you know, even like you say, they're free shit, you know, be poor quality.
Yeah.
So the wick and all this shit. So first off, the woman is a nourisher. But you look at because see, the woman is supposed to set the diet of the house. You know, she's supposed to be an expert in herbs and the body and how it functions. That's why even the whole thing, when you go back to Mother's Day, the woman that's named after, you know, her birthday was in May, and that's why, you know, I forget her name. But the reason why she was exalted was she wasn't with Mother's Day. It was her daughter that kind of made that a thing. Like, she wasn't on that shit. But what she did in the 1800s, you had so many newborns dying because women didn't have the knowledge of nurturing children. But she pretty much started like a school, right? What you call it when you have this one person doing like a big speech. I can't think of it, but like a lecturing. She started lecturing on how to nurse infants. Okay. And that's the woman that Mother's Day is patterned after.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, so going back to it, the woman is supposed to be an expert nutrition. The woman is supposed to be a nutritionist, a herbalist. You know, she's supposed to know about. She's supposed to have a apothecary. Like, she's supposed to be into these things. Like, there's a science to being a woman.
There's a science to being a woman.
Yeah, and what does that do? That creates a strong nation. Like, you don't understand, like, take King Solomon, how he get nourished as
That's right.
He had to be nourished.
He followed around several houses, several nourishers.
Yeah, so he had to be nourished, but guess what? Did not everybody in the kingdom benefit off King Solomon?
That's right.
You see? So going back to this royal system, you know, your duty, okay, you know, see, and that's the thing, like, the woman, like, I gotta be inconvenienced to come deal with this nigga. Like, no, you're pouring into something that's gonna benefit everybody, even you. You know? But that concept has been lost because instead of, you know, royal systems being in place, our people operate on slave systems. See, when you a slave, you don't have inheritance. So you can just be random because you really don't have responsibilities.
Yeah.
You know? But going back into it, whenever you have inheritance, whenever you come from a certain lineage, like, no, you can't just go marry anybody. You can't just go screw anybody. Like, no, it's a lot on you.
Yeah.
Now, you came into something, you was born into something that's bigger than you.
Yeah.
You know?
That's right. you have a responsibility.
Oh, that's her name. The brother put it up there. Her name is Anna Jarvis. Yeah, Anna Jarvis, to honor her mother, Ann Reeves. You know, a social activist who worked to improve public health and bringing families together, particularly after the Civil War. Yep.
Hey, the water Yahweh.
Yeah, the water, bro. What you got, bro?
Verse 5, it says, they that did feed dedicably are desolate in the streets.
Yeah, and you can go into Jeremiah 2:21. Just going back into the lesson. You know, the Lord created us to be a royal people.
Yeah.
You know. So as you read that, bro.
Jeremiah 2:21. Yet I have planted thee a noble vine,
Yep.
holy a right seed.
Yep.
How then art thou turned into a degenerate plant of a strange vine unto me?
And so the Lord, that's why we're given that law to be an example of royalty, man, in the earth. Because like you always go into it, when people look at royal etiquette, they come from Jake. You know, people think of royal etiquette, and they think of these Edomites in Europe. No, those Edomites inherited that from Jake.
That's right.
These Edomites inherited systems that was already created by Jake.
That's right.
You know, you go into the King Louis, the Charlemagne of France. Okay, you go into the Tudor line in England. Okay, the Stuart line, which that's where King James come from, the Stuarts. Okay, out there in Ireland. Okay, so when you go into royal etiquette, you know, your brothers watch Bridgerton. Okay, you see how they was courting and all these different things. Well, all that come from Jake. That royal etiquette come from Jake. When Queen Sheba was coming to visit King Solomon, she seen that royal etiquette. She never seen nothing like that before. She never seen order like that. You see?
And that royal etiquette from the House of Solomon or the House of David, that reminds me of that etiquette in the European world, the Dark Ages. Because if you go into the era of the Crusades, it was a trade route. It was trade routes during the Crusade from, ironically, Ishmael and just the Middle East back to Jerusalem, and they got a lot of those ways by way of their trade route. They got a lot of those Middle Eastern, so that the etiquette came from the Middle East.
Even Islam. Muhammad, he was pretty much like a, I guess he would say he was almost like a courier worker. Because he would take goods back and forth between, like you say, that route. So a lot of Quran, he would sit around and listen to Jake. When he came to Jerusalem, he'd sit around and listen to Jake talk. So like that's why you like Islam is kind of a watered down version of our culture. But Muhammad, he was getting a lot of those stories. Then you know how Jake just sit around and tell stories, you know. But he got a lot of the Quran from Jake, you know, telling stories. And then you know you had, you know, the Roman Catholic Church put their twist on it for a political purpose. But he was around Jake, you know. So even you see the etiquette that they got in Islam, a lot of it come from us. All etiquette, all manners, all they come from Jake.
Because shame comes from Jake. Like the book of, like, if you read the book of Sirach, the 41st chapter, it goes into shame. Maybe 42, I get it mixed up. But when you get into that GNT, you will see like that's the groundwork for what they did in Europe. That's the groundwork. That's why I said, and not putting your elbow on a table. Now what do you think of when you think of like table etiquette? You think of Europe, French, the French. Now the French got that from the Middle East, from Jake. Because it tells you, and be ashamed of leaning on the elbow, leaning on the table with your elbow. You see?
And what's that get that in Exodus 19 and 4. You know? Because this is, the Lord always intended us, you know, to be a royal people. You know? And I say, this is what we fell from. That's one thing too, is we really realize what we fell from. That's why we have conversations that are so foreign to our people, because, you know, our people are so caught up into this modern vanity, you know, that there's conversations that they can't even relate to, man. You know, years ago, we couldn't relate to these things, man. But this shows you how the Lord is maturing us back into their royal way.
Yeah.
You know? Because now guess what? We think long term.
Yeah.
Like we and the elder brother been talking, man, and we've been talking like generations on down the line. And it's hypothetical, but the Lord, like we was talking about, the Lord will show you concepts. Oh, now the Bible make more sense. Yeah. Like when you live in a particular situation, you be like, oh, that's why.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know, yeah, bro.
Exodus 19:4.
Yep.
You have seen what I did unto the Egyptians,
Yep.
and how I bear you on eagle's wings,
Yep.
and brought you unto myself.
Go ahead.
Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then you shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine.
Yeah, go ahead.
It says, and ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and holy nation.
Yeah, a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. So it says a kingdom of priests.
Yeah.
You know, that lets you know that eventually we was gonna come into the order of Melchizedek, where every Israelite man would be a priest. A kingdom of priests. That's why brothers gonna be kings and priests. That's the only thing. That's the only thing that Israel is gonna produce as a nation.
Yeah.
As kings and priests.
Basically rulers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's spiritual rulers.
Spiritual rulers.
Cause we was going into what? That stock.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like I say, when you want an animal, let's say you if you go get, you know, if you go get some livestock, well, you're gonna go get animals specifically bred for livestock, to protect livestock. There's certain breeds that just bred to protect livestock. So the Lord is gonna. That's why the Lord said, real quick, get that in Genesis 17 and verse 6. But the Lord's gonna create to where, because the earth need righteous kings and priests. So that's all the earth. That's all Israel gonna produce.
Righteous kings and priests.
Yeah. See, everyone else is gonna be a worker.
Yeah.
You're gonna have a trade.
Yeah.
But see, Israel, we're gonna specialize in kings and priests.
Because Sirach 38. It tells you, like, you have the potter, you have the farmer. Without these, the city can't be inhabited. But they will sit in the seat of judgment.
Yep.
That's reserved for the elect.
Yep.
You know?
Genesis 6.
Yep. Yep.
And I will make nations of thee, and kings shall come out of thee.
And kings shall come out of thee.
That's right.
That's the stock we come from.
Yeah, come.
That's all he said. Kings shall come out of thee. Not street niggas.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay? Not a nigga dunking.
Yeah.
Not a nigga freestyling. Okay?
That's a court jester.
Yeah.
That's another court jester.
You know? He said, kings shall come out of thee. So the Lord is going to reestablish us in righteousness. And the only thing that we're going to produce as a people, okay, is kings and priests as far as the men. All right? And the women are going to be wives to those men. The Israelite women are going to be wives to those men. Because even you see that now, like with Jake in Nigeria, what are they known for? Engineers. You see?
I want to say architects too.
Yeah.
But engineers.
Yeah, they're saying, you know.
But they manufacture them.
Yeah.
The way we manufacture football players.
Yeah.
5 years old with that big head, running with their helmet.
Yeah.
And you manufacturing athletes in America.
Yeah.
Because in those other countries, they know that the citizens are the product of that country.
Yep.
Like, we're raising assets to this country.
Yep.
Because we have to compete with other countries for power.
Yep.
We're gonna have to compete with them or cooperate with them in trade routes and everything.
Yep.
So if you got a country full of engineers, architects, you have a country full of
buildings.
Yeah, come on, man.
Verse 7, it says, and I would establish my covenant between me and thee, and thy seed after thee in their generations, for an everlasting covenant, to be a God unto thee, and to thy seed after thee.
So the Lord, all right, made a promise that Abraham will be a dynasty. Okay? So what we're coming back into is that promise of the Lord making Abraham, okay, a dynasty. You see? So we have to understand that it was always intended for us as a people, okay, to rule the earth under a righteous royal system.
Yeah.
Okay? And that's what we fell away from. And the earth is suffering behind it. You see? And that's why you get that in the Wisdom of Solomon 6:24 about you.
Yeah.
and then what I learned too, Zakar, when I'm real, you're speculating in the spirit. It's only one way to run the earth. Anything outside there is gonna fail.
You know what? That's a spirit. That was on my spirit today. I'm like, everybody has their own way.
Right.
Going back to Genesis,
Right.
No way works. Worshiping the universe, worshiping the spirit, following the divine feminine, none of that shit worked. The only thing that worked was the traditional way in America that came from the scriptures.
Yep.
No other way works. So Eve wants to be outside of the house, outside of the framework, and still have results that benefit her. It don't work like that.
Get that.
You know?
This is Wisdom of Solomon 6:24. But the multitude of the wise is the welfare of the world.
Go ahead.
And a wise king is the upholding of the people.
Yeah, so the multitude of the wise is the welfare of the world. Okay? Which that means that the earth is going to benefit from righteous rulership. So you gotta remember, during the time of King Solomon, there was no wars. Everybody benefited off that. Yeah. Not just Israel, but even other nations, because there was no wars.
Yeah.
So the welfare of the earth is on the shoulders of the wise. And see, that's what we fell from. And the earth fell from being benefited from wise rulers to suffering under this nigga, man.
Yeah.
So this is what we're realizing this captivity, like shit. Now we're beginning to understand the responsibility of rulership. Because you don't have to go through anything to enjoy the perks of rulership.
Right.
But then once you realize, okay, this is what happens, okay, when righteous rulers are not in the earth.
Right.
Like everybody suffers.
Yeah, because I was just reading about it's hundreds of million people that's malnourished. It's hundreds of millions of people on this planet. I forgot the exact number, but it's millions upon millions of people who are not getting full meals on this planet. You know, Proverbs 29:2, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. When the wicked very rude, the people mourn. That's mourning when you growling.
Yeah.
That's mourning when you gotta watch your kids. Come on, man.
And then Esau's so cruel in America. You got people that's overweight that's malnourished.
Yeah.
Like this crazy work.
It's crazy work, man.
You know?
On this planet, this globe, because the elites, they run this globe. On this globe, there's hundreds of millions of people that's doing, that's going through food starvation or that's malnourished, and they don't have access to clean water. They don't have access to developed homes.
Yep.
Then you got people that stay in basically slums.
Yep. But the CEO at Lyft makes $7-8 million a year.
Come on, man.
You see, that's the earth under wicked rulership, right? And that was the biggest lesson the Lord wanted us to learn in this captivity, man. Is the consequences of wicked rulership and why, righteous rulership is so vital to the earth, to existence, to life. Because you go back to the Genesis when Adam received the breath, and then a few verses down, the Lord charged him to keep the garden. And you go into the word keep in the Hebrew is shamar, and one of the definitions is to protect life. So Adam was given a charge in that breath to protect life in the earth through what? A royal system. Okay? That's why a king would be likened to another word for king is title for king is the father of a realm, because he will have the duties like a father has responsibilities in a house, to provide, to protect. Well, a king has those same responsibilities, but for over a whole realm to provide and to protect. You see? So this is the responsibility that we're stepping back into. And now, we know the Lord doesn't just have, like we were talking about, the Lord doesn't have these systems in place, okay, just for his preference.
Yeah.
But no, earth was created by wisdom, so it has to be ran by that wisdom.
Yep. That's right.
That was all I had, man.
No, that's it. 8-4. Hey, but with that, this royal framework, this royal system, man, is gonna subjugate, the heathen that's running the planet Earth. Is gonna create peace. They look at the laws from a subjective point of view and they're offended.
Yeah.
I can't do this, I can't do that. God got too many restrictions.
Yeah.
They don't look at what it engenders.
Yeah.
It engenders peace.
Yeah.
But with that, we hope you were edified. Once again, we want to give our honor and glory to Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Kamadash. We want to give double honors to our elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone as well as peace and blessings, health and wellness to the house of David the elect. Abba, Abba, Shalom, 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 the water for the scriptures.